Hello and welcome back to another episode of Boys Love. I told Sunset about you. I cannot keep saying Itsay. It's really a problem. I just want to acronymize. Okay. I just want to say Itsay, but I told Sunset about you. We are doing episode 2 today. We have more special guests. This is so exciting. From the LoveCast, we have on Heather and Kayla. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Heather is in Australia, so it's bright and early in the morning. We are here in the States, Kayla and RJ and I, obviously, so it's evening time for us. We are doing truly transcontinental. I mean, we couldn't be farther apart from each other, honestly. It's very exciting.
It's very LoveCast, honestly.
Oh, yes, because this is your whole thing. Because two are in America, one's in Norway, and one's in Australia. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right.
How do you...
Yeah. How? I'm just
as
curious. Someone
who was a stage manager at one point in my life, how do you schedule that?
Yeah, how are the logistics?
We've kind of gotten into the groove of things now that we're a couple of years in, but it's usually someone's super early in the morning or super late at night, and we just kind of suck it up and deal with it because we love what we do. So
yes.
Yeah.
Wow,
but no, when we're trying to organize guests and we add in that like fourth or even sometimes fifth time zone, that's when it gets like intense.
You've had on like actual BL performers, BL writers, BL directors. This is so I'm like, excuse me. I mean, like we're just coming in as lowly fans. I mean, you are professionals in the industry at this point.
You'll make me blush. Don't call me professional, but also kind of do.
Yes. I think Adam and I will always talk about it. Like we should totally interview. And then Adam will be like, no, actually, I don't want them to know me.
No, I could never. Like,
I get that.
When we met Dabbit,
which you guys also interviewed Dabbit, right?
Yeah.
Lovely. There was even a moment when we first met Dabbit that Adam was like, I actually don't know if I could get out of this airport right now because
the insane part of us meeting Dabbit was that he picked us up from the airport, which is genuinely crazy. Like it's an insane thing to even say as whatever. And so he picked us up from the airport and I had like the cart of our luggage and I was like, oh, I'm just going to go put this back really quick. And like I was walking back to the cart storage and like crying because I was like, I can't do this. So I have very normal reactions meeting people. Our first episode came out this week, and on our schedule that we released, we had like a special guest, and people kept joking like, oh, they're gonna do Mark Packin's new show, and Mark Packin will be the guest. And I need it to be on record. If I could never interview Mark Packin because I would walk into the lake. You would never see me again.
Same.
Divorce papers would be filed. You would never hear from me again if I interviewed Mark Packin. You might never hear from Mark Packin again, to be quite honest.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
We all have that one, sometimes two.
I want to know who's your, like, if it ever happens, I don't know if I'm going to survive.
Who's the Roman Empire? Who we always thinking about BL-wise?
For me?
Yeah.
PP Bilkin. I would, like, literally become a little puddle on the ground and just cease to exist.
It's magic.
What about you?
Genuine magic, yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I am a huge fan of Z and Nunu. I don't think I would be able to even handle being in the same area as them. Like,
no.
I don't know. I can keep it together a lot of the times, which is obviously what I've done in the past, but I don't know. Just the mere sight of them I might crash out. Like, I don't know what could happen.
I was going to say, there's this really cute moment when we were in Thailand with a Z and Nunu standee, like big standee, that Kayla lost their mind with, and it's the cutest thing. And I'm like, if that's how they are with a standee,
right?
Imagine what they would be
over.
Interviewing.
Yeah,
it's over, 100%.
I don't think I could do it.
Oh, Who is yours?
Yeah, who about you
Thai
guys?
BL. Let's be specific.
Let's be specific with Thai BL.
Yeah.
Drake.
Just Drake. Just Drake, period. Drake and his acting partner, his eyebrows. Yes, I agree. Well,
actually, Santa. I'm sorry. It's probably Santa.
You're like this person, but this person, but this person.
It keeps growing and growing.
Mine is probably Jimmy C. Like I've seen all of their stuff.
Yeah.
I like, they seem so sweet and nice, and I'm like, ugh. But I don't know. This show is really changing the game. I mean, this is
come to the dark
the
side.
gold standard of BL, honestly.
Yeah.
There was someone who said, I think, and they didn't mean this in any negative way, but they were like, it almost doesn't feel like a BL because it's so good. And I understand what they mean when they say that, because there is a lot of like just, shows that are just like churned out. But I hesitate to like still say this surpasses BL. It's kind of like when K-pop fans are like, oh, BTS isn't K-pop. And it's like, well, but just because it's really good doesn't mean it like advances past what the genre is.
That's
like,
not the goal of it. Like,
right.
We should use this as a way to be like, this is the gold standard of BL.
Yeah.
So that way we have something.
There can be BL that is like
this
cinematic and like incredible, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
And I like to say that the whole BKPP project, so Itsay, I Promised You the Moon, last Twilight in Phuket, like the whole everything is like, it just made the box of BL just grow a little bit bigger. So it doesn't sit outside. It just made it grow a little bit bigger. It just added a little bit more to the genre and just made it a little bit richer.
I mean, I can even see that just from the 2 episodes of the show we have watched. RJ is more of a Japanese BL fan, whereas I live on the like Thai side of the world. I kind of like the mess that comes to Thailand, and RJ likes the yearning, the intense yearning that comes with Japanese BL. So it's very interesting. But then I think we just watch like all of Korean BLs, but that's where we started. So it's easy to like, it's kind of a marriage of the two.
How you guys fell into BL, but then also like what do you love about BL, and what are some of your favorite ones?
My mom is a BL fan, so I was born into BL.
Amazing.
Literally.
That's amazing.
But it wasn't until I watched Love by Chance. I discovered it on Tumblr. Throwback to Tumblr.
Wow.
Where we all started.
Wow.
We all came through.
I saw GIFs of it on Tumblr, and then I was like, what is this? And I found, I can't remember if I guess at that point it was on YouTube. So I started watching it, and I was like, I can't believe that there's live action, Asian, LGBTQ plus media, like, because I had only really ever watched BL anime and like yaoi. So it was really like a shock to me. And I was like, this is crazy, because I've never seen representation like this ever. And it was just like culturally, I related to it a lot more. So I fell deep into it.
That's crazy. Wait, like what age was that when that happened for you? Or how many years ago, I should say?
Has it been like, when did Love by Chance come out? Has it been like 5 years?
No, that's got to be longer.
No? 6?
Love by Chance was like 2018. Yeah.
So 6 years ago.
I was just out of college, so probably like 22.
Well, Tumblr still existed in its more raw form, so that's something to note in that story for sure.
Yep.
R.I.P. to Tumblr.
R.I.P.
She's still alive, but she's basically dead.
She's not the same.
She's limping along. She tries.
Heather, how about you?
I actually started in the K-drama sphere. So I was about 16 or 17, and a friend at school was like, oh my God, I found this really cool show. You need to watch it. And it was just like every week try to download a episode of this show, hoping we're not downloading any viruses or anything. And I just ate that show up and was like, oh my God, what is this? This is amazing. So then I started watching more K-dramas and then kind of moved into like YouTube space to see things, and a couple of things were popping up, and I found this show called oh my goodness, I've forgotten it now. I've told this story before.
Is it the Takumi-kun?
Yeah, Takumi-kun.
Yeah.
It was the Takumi-kun movie series, and I watched that and was like, oh my god, what is this? This is like just what is this? And so I ate that one up. I ate up the week series, so it's like the Monday to Thursday, Friday to Sunday, like little movie series as well. And was like, oh, this is really cool. So then I just literally went down a rabbit hole of, oh my god, what is this? What are all these K-dramas? What are all these Japanese LGBT shows? Where is all of the like gay content that I'm looking for? Because Australian TV was crap, and if there was anything on there, it was sad and shitty, and no one had happy endings. And I'm such a romance lover at heart that I was like, where are the happy endings? What's going on? And then from those Japanese shows or movies, I guess technically they were, I kind of started finding like Vicky and YouTube with other shows, and just literally just fell down the rabbit hole, and then got into Thai BL from Love by Chance. No, I didn't. Make It Right. Make It Right was Thai BL. That's how I kind of started figuring out my way in. And then, So it's like a weird little like progression, kind of fell in type of thing. Yeah.
We were at a party and someone was like, we were doing the very classic, like we're all adults asking people what they do for work. And he was like, oh, I work for Rakuten. And we were like, you work for Vicky? And he was like, oh yeah, I guess that's a part of the, I don't work for Vicky specifically, but that is a part of the company. And I was like, we have deep subscriptions to Miss Vicky and they are used.
Oh my god.
Okay. Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, there's a lot of shows on there. I'm like, oh my god.
And you're like, you don't understand.
You don't know.
You don't get it. You do not understand.
Oh my god.
Heather, you said you've seen I Told Sunset About You.
Oh,
Kayla, this is your first time watching?
I watched it a couple months ago in May because my friend, she sat me down hostage. Yeah. We spent like 2 days watching
it. You didn't tell me?
Yeah. I thought you knew I watched the whole thing.
No.
I definitely mentioned that I watched the whole thing. My friend held me hostage and made me watch all of it. So that was my first time watching it, was this year. Very, very late to the party.
It's good. I mean, that's the most boring thing I could possibly say about this show, is that it's just good. That's all we talked about last week with Freddie, who we had on. We were just like, it's good. I mean, it's just gonna be, I think people sometimes like when RJ and I recap something and we don't like it because there's so much more to like yell at about it. But like, every moment of the show, I want to sit someone else I know down and be like, please watch this, because this is what it was like for me as a gay teenager in high school. Please, I need you to understand. The language was not the same, I promise, but it was very similar.
Everything else is it's right there.
When I watched Itsay, I watched it by myself, and then found a friend who had watched it and loved it as much as me. So we watched I Promised You the Moon together, and oh my god, watching it together, like for this project specifically, it just elevates the experience.
Yeah.
So like, I'm so jealous that you guys are watching it together for the first time.
I already know that it's going to be a show that I'm like, I wish I could remove the part of my brain that remembers the show so I can watch it. Like, I'm going to have that feeling.
Instantly, the second it ends, you'll go back to the first episode and you're like, amnesia, start now. And then just watch it again, like, oh my god.
Drew Barrymore and 50 First Dates, except my video every morning is just all of I Told Sunset About You. That's a really great specific reference to the old people who watched 50 First Dates in theaters in 2004 or whatever. Last episode, just to recap, we have rekindled the friendship. We're feeling good about each other again. We've put away our troubles from the past. So we're moving forward anew, and Tae is gonna tutor OAO. Okay, so that's where we're starting. This show trusts the audience to know and understand what is being presented without feeling the need to explain it.
Mhm.
This episode starts with Tae dressed up a little bit, waiting in like his mom's restaurant or whatever. And immediately they're like, oh, he's waiting. He's like anxious that Oeo is going to come and he can tutor him. And I was like, it's done so well. Like they don't draw attention to the fact. They just let him like kind of anxiously sit there. And then he goes up and like stands out at the door, like waiting for him. And he pulls up and it's all fine. But it's like, it's these tiny little nuggets of being like, this is so much bigger for them than they even realize. But like as the audience member, I'm like, like cannot handle it. It's too good. His mom is like, oh, your brother bought you the plane ticket, so you're gonna go see the campus or whatever earlier, blah blah blah. So there's still a little bit of the rivalry aspect to their friendship going on, but it's way more like friendlier and convivial now than it was previously, obviously. What I really like about the show too is like there's so many, I think growing up like in America, I just thought that's how school worked everywhere on the globe. Like all school was the same everywhere on earth. This show kind of explaining how to get into college is like kind of teaching me how crazy it is to get into college in Southeast Asia. And I was like, oh, I shouldn't have gotten into the college I did. If these were the requirements, I fluked. I messed up. I should not have been where I got. It would not have been good for me in Southeast Asia. I would not have gotten in. And let's say that, honestly. Because Oeo is now going to test in as opposed to like audition in. He has to like he has to pick specific faculty up to 4 that he is like testing for. And he reveals to Tae that he's gonna do obviously communication arts, which is the one that they want to go into together, but he's also gonna do business management because his dad owns the resort. It's a family business. It's his backup plan. So there's like a pragmatic element to this story that I think is really interesting. And I really like that they're like there's like another layer of the show going on that I think is really cool.
As Thai BL
favorite faculties, go.
Yeah, what are your favorite faculties and faculty BL?
I can't go past an engineering faculty. It's just nostalgia. It's like so Thai BL.
Yes.
But yeah, engineering faculty is always they're the ones that I just can't go past them because you always end up with the weirdest mix of personalities in an engineering faculty. And like the friend groups are always fun.
I just watched Fish Upon the Sky, which was a dentistry faculty. And I was like, oh, I think that was my first dentistry one, actually. I talked about this last week, but I don't like dentists. So it was actually a very hard watch at some points for me. Each faculty has its own like uniform, which obviously is like its own specific like Thai college thing. Like when I was in college, I was rolling up in sweatpants, hoodies. I looked homeless half the time.
Pajamas. Yeah.
I looked horrendous. I subsisted my freshman year of college on Pop-Tarts and naked smoothies. Which allegedly they were supposed to be healthy, and then if you actually read the ingredients, it was like 2.5 cups of sugar per bottle. So I was like really just killing myself. But at the time, I was like, I am kind of nailing being an independent adult, and I was not at all.
Dude, yeah.
First Thai BL was Bad Buddy, and so that introduced us to the like rivalries of faculties.
Yeah. Anything you want to say about Om Nanon? Feel free to share your thoughts if you have any.
I feel like this is a trap. I feel like I'm being trapped here.
No, not at all. Whatever you mean. So I love that show a lot. And then like as I finished it, that's when I like turned to Twitter and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna like I'm on the Thai BL train. I'm gonna like join the fandom and da. And then that was like right when it was like they hate each other. And I was like, oh no! Oh no!
Yeah.
So my heart was destroyed very quickly.
Yeah. See, I love I still to this day love Bad Buddy. And I just I love fanfic. And so I read a lot of Bad Buddy fanfic. That keeps my love of Bad Buddy alive.
Sure.
And I enjoy and the Non as the ship in Bad Buddy. Yeah. And I enjoy them separately now that they're doing their own things.
Yeah. And for more on sinking ships, you can listen to your guys' recent episode on ships that are falling deep into the ocean. They are Titanicing as we speak.
I've been thinking about just like shipping in Thai BL a lot lately. Like, there have been a lot of, I guess, ship breakups, if you will, that have been ending really badly, at least in the fandoms. So it's a very relevant topic. And I'm always like wondering, like, is shipping culture just like this toxic entity that exists and something needs to be done about it? Like something needs to change? Or is it just kind of like one of those things where people are gonna go crazy. People are gonna get out of line no matter what it is. No matter what. And you can't really control it. If it wasn't like this, then they'd be, I don't know, out of line about something else. But it's easy to get delusional. Even for myself, it's very easy to get delusional because you'll be like, oh, I don't actually believe that's real. And then you'll see all these people just like posting their like evidence of like things being real. And you're like, wait, you start to question your own sanity, right? Like, you're like, am I the one who's like not in on it? And this is actually real? Like, did I miss something? But yeah, I feel like staying grounded to reality, which isn't always easy because reality isn't the best at times. But yeah, just knowing that it's like a business, I think, is what it all comes down to, is that it's all just part of the business.
I understand as more primarily like a K-pop stan. There are some ships that I don't consider
the captain of?
I am steering the ship.
I am the captain.
I am the captain now.
I feel
but what's interesting about obviously like when it gets to like ships and Thai BLs, it's not unlike growing up in the Philippines where we would have love teams of like you have the chemistry of like two actors, you know, like the Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. We've talked about that before of like because they have such good chemistry. It's sometimes hard to, it's easy to get them into like projects because you know that team is going to sell. And but also you kind of have to think about like, but like if they're so good on screen, it has to like
translate somewhere else.
Yes, like, how could they just be normal people when they say cut and they're like, all right, thanks. Like, if the chemistry's that good, they can't just like walk away from set. So that's crazy.
Well, and I think like too, it's the only profession where the whole point of your job is to sell the idea that you are in love with each other and your feelings, every feeling is the biggest feeling you've ever had. And you're just constantly falling in love with this person over and over and over again. So I get why it's crazy, but it is part of what I think is very charming about Thai BL is that like it's like maybe because there's such a specific thing about the ships, like it almost makes it like so much more clear that it is a business to me as opposed to like Korean or Japanese BL where they just like come and go and it's more like it was a flash in the pan. Like it kind of Thai BL also, you are reminded that it's a business because they will put advertisements straight in the middle of a scene. But that's its own thing. So it kind of like keeps me grounded, I think, when I think about it that way. But I also think that there's going to be insane people no matter what.
And
all
like
varieties.
And like I think that's kind of what it is. At the end of the day, you've got to think of it as just like an extension of the fiction that you're enjoying of the show. Like the show is fiction, everything within it is fiction, and then the selling of the ship, if you're thinking percentage wise, like 80 to 90% of that is fiction. So just kind of like remembering at the end of the day that you believe what you believe, go as far into Delulu as you want, but bring it back a little bit and think these are real people and everything you see isn't true.
Yeah.
And just enjoy it. Just have fun. Think of it as an extension.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like Kayla said, we all get Delulu at sometimes. Every single one of us, I'm sure, has had our Delulu moments, but that's the fun of it. We bring it back.
I just threatened Mark Packett on my podcast.
Just put him in a basement.
This is a joke, by the way. I
No joke, Mark. Mark, we love you.
Mark, you can come on the show,
Yes,
and RJ will interview you, and I will sit in the corner of the room and watch from afar because I would not allow
Interfans love you.
Interfans. Okay. They are at the end of high school, and there's this moment where Oeo is like, he's like going through the emotions that I think like every single person on earth who has been through the end of high school has, where they're like, I am still a child. Like, why is there this expectation that I'm supposed to know what to do with my future? Did you like have that? I mean, like for me, I knew that I wanted to like go into theater in some capacity in like college. So I kind of, in some ways, I very much actually connect with Te, because like I kind of
you know what you want to do.
I kind of like, school was very easy for me, and I like wanted to be an actor, so I kind of understand him. But on some other aspects, I do see myself more as Oeo. So like, where did you fall on the spectrum? Were you ending high school and you were like, I've got it together, I'm ready to go?
I was a big dreamer. So, but like a ball of stress, a big dreamer that had like a ball of stress that had big dreams, basically. And I knew that I had to get into uni. I knew I wanted to go into theatre as well, into musical theatre. I wanted to do all these things. I auditioned for a couple of universities, kind of similar to a little bit like Itsay, where like to get into a lot of the theatre programs, you actually have to audition and then get the good grades. So, but like they kind of give you a spot after auditioning and they say, yeah, you can most likely come to our, like be part of our program. You've just got to make sure you get a certain like scoring. We've got a scoring thing over here. And so I was like auditioning for places and I wasn't getting through those auditions, and I was like, oh my God, holy shit, what's my plan B? What do I do? I still want to pursue this, but like this is not working out for me. And then I was like, all right, so this is kind of where I'm like, all right, now I'm kind of OAO where I'm like, all right, shit, I got to test in. I got to get the scores. I've got to make sure, and I've got to go for my plan B. And so, so it was like, I knew I wanted to do theatre and like all that sort of stuff. So I worked towards that, did that for a bit. And then this is kind of going slightly off topic, got into uni, did a couple of years, had 1 year left of my degree and was like, nah, this isn't what I actually want to do.
Wow.
So I was like, cool, I'll transfer unis and transfer degrees and start again. And that's what I did.
And you went into the engineering faculty.
Yeah, I went into the engineering faculty.
I was a mess. Like I knew what I wasn't allowed to do. Like there wasn't an option to not go to college. There wasn't, and I was like restricted to what I could go to college for, because I've like always been like a writer my whole life, and that doesn't. My dad did not vibe with that. So it was like, you need to be practical. So I ended up going into school for, at first, broadcast reporting, which is like newscasters, stuff like that. Because my best friend, he was going in, we went to the same school. We ended up going to the same school. So I was like, I'll just go in with this and I'll change it if like I don't vibe with it. Realized very quickly that I did not vibe with it at all. Yeah, I changed to production. So all of the technical stuff, all of the behind the scenes. Yeah. And then I kind of through that, like realized that I really, really, really love production and I love like film. I didn't really like do stuff on the film side, but I really loved film and I really loved radio. Like I was very into my college's radio station. Like I was a board member. I had like a K-pop radio show that we would do a lot of stuff with. So I kind of like found the love for it, and it was really interesting how it worked out. So yeah, to answer the question, I definitely did not know what I wanted to do with my life, and I still to this day don't know what I want to do with my life.
Girl, please, this is same. I am in a listen, not that I want to dox myself, but I am in an industry that I did not ever expect I would be in, doing something I never thought I would be doing. Because after college, like I kind of did the job I always wanted to do since I was a kid, which was like work at Disney World, which is so incredibly gauche. But I did it, and then I left, and I was like, well, I did what I wanted to do. So what am I going to do for the rest of my 70 years on this planet? My God. So that's really,
so watch
really,
BL.
so it's a really fun aspect of capitalism.
The pressure you have in high school, especially in those last 2 years that you're then either going to uni, college, or you're getting a job, the pressure in those last 2 years is so intense because it's like you're being told you have to decide your life now, and you're like 16, 17 years old being told you have to decide the rest of your life. And like you said, you literally have 70, 80, 90 years ahead of you. You don't know shit. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what you actually want to do. And so I think that pressure in those 2 years is it's such a little like pressure chamber, and all of the feelings and all of the everything is just so heightened. And like, not to bring it back to Itsay, but we're here.
Please do, because I'm failing at this.
It kind of shows this pressure and this anxiety on what am I going to do for the rest of my life? The choices that I make right now is going to determine the rest of my life. Do I do this? Do I do that? If I do, the anxiety spirals really happen. And then also because you're in this pressure chamber in those last couple of years, like I was saying, all of your feelings are heightened. You're growing up, you're a teenager, so obviously like your feelings are heightened then, plus your pressure chamber. So everything just feels so much more intense.
Yeah.
Your relationships feel more intense. Your projections of the future feel more intense. Your wins feel more intense. Your failures feel more intense. It's just such a unique time of your life. And I think it kind of spans different countries and different cultures, that this feeling in those last 2 years, like I feel like everyone can kind of relate to that. Even if you're a little bit of like a happy-go-lucky person, you still kind of relate to the fact that everything felt so intense in those moments, in those last couple of years of school.
It's the most feelings you ever have. You go through, like, obviously as a kid, you go through as a child, like a literal child, a toddler, like you're learning, everything you're experiencing is the first time you're ever experiencing it. But then by the time you hit puberty, you've kind of experienced most feelings, most emotions in like the most neutral sense of just like, here's the raw, here's joy. Like, I don't want to be like, I'm talking about Inside Out, but like, here's joy, here's disgust, here's fear, right? And then you, like, your hormones decide that they're absolutely going to like pop the fuck off. And then you're like, why do I have such intense, I mean, like, it's so good. This show is so good because Tae has all these emotions happening, but he's not even like
connecting that.
No.
The synapses are not firing for this diva. Oh, baby.
He's not realizing, I'm sure we'll get to it in like the retelling.
Yeah, in about 2 hours from now, for sure.
Yeah. He doesn't realize that what he's feeling and how he's acting is jealousy. Like, it's not computing for him that it's literal jealousy, and it's not just jealousy, friendship sort of jealousy. It's a bigger feeling, like much grander feeling that, like, and he's just not, it's not computing. And so he acts out because it's like when you talk about toddlers, little body, big feelings. Like, he's so little body, big feelings in this episode. Like, Ep 2, you really start to see like that kind of little body, big feelings ness happening with him, and it's so good. So good.
Another great part of the show is that they're tutoring, which is a very classic it's a very classic fanfic trope, very specifically. Speaking of fanfic, I have read many a piece of literature which is very fun. But it's nice. It gives, Tae the upper hand in the situation, obviously, since he's the one teaching. But it's also oftentimes in fanfic or porn, to be honest, that has to do with like tutoring or any type of like whatever. There's like this nefarious undercurrent the whole time of like, this is the real, they really want to get this going. And like, this isn't that. Like, it is genuinely coming from this place of, Oeo wants to get into school, and Ted genuinely wants him to help him.
They want to go together. Like, they want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then there's also this like layer of, it's something that Tae can, it's a special thing that Tae can do for Oeo, and it's special time that they can have together. And it's a way that he can feel useful in Oeo's life and feel special.
And he also, some of it is like an apology for how mean he was to Oeo over the years. Yeah. Like there's that too baked into it.
Yeah. Oh, the layers, mate, the layers.
Every show on Earth does this, but like I think this is, smarter about it than most. It's more hidden than most. It is leaving clues at the top of the episode that are going to come back in major ways at the end of the episode. So just a couple. So there's like the scent of coconut that is like Oeo's.
Oh my God.
It's his iconic scent. And I want to say
oh my God, my heart just started beating.
There is no straight man that is wearing the scent of coconut. I just want to be very clear about that. No one is doing that. Okay? They're learning Chinese characters, and all the characters that they keep referring to are the ones that have heart
in them
as the root word. And so we'll see those again. Don't worry. Also, unfortunately, it is a show that is made in the social media era, so we do have to get into the Instagram of it all.
I was like, what do you mean, unfortunately? I love the way they use tech in this.
I think they're
done very well.
They're doing a very specific job with it, which is nice. It's
I was
realistic.
so blessed. Kayla, you wouldn't understand because you're so young. But RJ and I are old people, and so we didn't have to deal with social media
in high school.
As a part of
we would have been more monsters.
We had Facebook, and it was truly like, make an album and then input every photo you've ever taken into an album, and then everyone would just go like each photo.
I remember that.
Our social media experience. We weren't doing stories to kind of get under each other's skin.
I would do that on MySpace, though. Definitely. Like when you post something, hoping that someone's going to see it, you post it specifically for
them.
And
moving your top 8 to be like,
I remember being in middle school and leaving away messages that were like, just really thinking about a lot today. Like, girl, no one cares. Shut up. No one is going to ask you.
Yeah.
Or like the super emo lyrics that like slightly relate to what you're trying to say, but you do it in like the song of the person that you know they like. Yeah. So you take the lyrics from that person. And
This is why we needed Olivia Rodrigo in the culture again. We needed someone to like give the lyrics that people can use. I guess Taylor Swift also does that to some extent too. I shouldn't discredit the fine work of a fine artist.
I don't know how much of behind the scenes that you've watched of the show, because there's also like a full this is exciting. So there's a whole behind the scenes like little documentary that goes alongside Itsay and also I Promised You the Moon.
And
they talk about, it's so good. And they they obviously show the creating of this whole entire series project actually, and they talk about what aspects of BKPP's life that they pulled into this series to create Itsay and I Promise You the Moon and everything.
Sorry.
What do you mean by that?
Sorry.
What do you mean by that?
Could we get a little...
We were just talking about going delusional, and I could feel
because
the claws.
Adam and I know nothing about this show. Literally zero, except these 2 episodes. Could you give us a brief education?
The whole project is loosely based off of their life growing up. So they met in loosely. So like they met in. So they went to the tutoring school together. They were friends from.
They've been friends for like years.
They've been friends from school, like from they used to do the social media thing where they would talk to each other and kind of like fight a little bit and like talk at each other through socials. And there's lots you have to watch the documentary, guys. You have to watch it.
This is like when I found out Forcebook like has known each other for years too, and I was like,
yeah, no, they grew up together. They have been friends, and I should say grow up together. They have been friends since like high school, and they did the tutoring together. There's photos of like them as high school kids literally having dinner. Both families are having dinner together and they're there, or like both of them are there with one side of families having dinner, and then they went into school, to uni. And
to the delusional fans out there watching this recap, go ahead and drop the evidence links in the comments below, because I will be looking at all of them. Thank you so much.
This is like I'm like sweating. This happens every time I start talking about them because I love them so much. I'm like so hot. It's like, it's so much. So when you watch Itsay and then go back and like maybe rewatch it after going down the rabbit hole and finding out what parts they've actually pulled from their life. Because when you watch it back through and you're like, and you know which parts are inspired by their life, you're like, holy shit. This can't, like, they've got to have like written it more dramatically. There's no way this is actually how it happened. But at times it was. And like the social media stuff and the way that they would talk at each other through socials is like so strongly inspired by exact things that they did.
When we watched this, I literally made the comment, like, we paused a lot for crying. But
so much. It's an hour and 15-minute episode. We watched it for like an hour and 45 minutes straight. I was like, I couldn't stop crying.
We couldn't stop crying.
Yeah.
There's so much.
It's not even a sad episode, to be clear.
It's not even
if you've
sad,
never seen
no.
Itsay, it's not a sad episode. I just couldn't. I was re-experiencing high school all over.
You're having big feelings.
Yes. And my body is so little and my feelings are so big because I'm so
a lot of their dialogue to each other. I told Adam, I was like, it feels like they're not reciting lines. They are saying these things. Like the whole, after the tutoring, he drives him home in his little like motorcycle with the sidecar, and Oyo is sitting on it, and they like do this whole thing of like, do you want to know a secret? Blah blah blah. Don't tell. I'm a virgin. Do you want to tell it? Da, 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 da. I'm a virgin too. It's so playful, and then after, when he's in the boat and he's like waving him off, they're just like bantering from far away and waving. That I was like, I'm not watching acting. I'm watching
two
lines.
Dear friends.
These are like two real people. And now that I know the truth, now.
They're such good actors as well, because it's like they're such good actors, but there is in this whole project there is this element of like your friends who went through something like this or very similar things, and you're bringing this to your characters in this series, and that layer just makes it so ridiculously real as you're watching it, and you're like, oh my god, should I be watching them sit on this boat and talk? Should I be watching them like kind of flirt as they're studying? But they're not flirting, but they are flirting.
They're not flirting. They don't know it's flirting.
They don't know they're flirting.
Oh my god.
When I watched it, I mean, spoiler alert, I was like, this does live up to the hype. For me, like when I watch things, especially a show like this, I am looking at it a lot aesthetically. So the thing that really impressed me about it was the filmmaking aspect of it. And if you watch the behind the scenes, then you will appreciate it even more because you will get to see exactly how they filmed everything.
I like to say, and I'm pretty sure they said it too, or maybe it's just how I interpreted it, but I like to say that it's a love letter to Thailand. Like this entire series is a love letter to Thailand.
Totally. It feels that way. Specifically.
It's a love letter to Phuket.
I read that like Phuket's like tourism like boomed after this came out.
Mm-hmm. And like when they were filming the series and they were scouting locations and they were trying to figure out what they wanted to, where they wanted to take the cinematography and how they wanted to do a lot of this, they really thought about it in detail. And like, that's one of the best things about this show is that not just the filming aspect, but every layer, the use of color, the use of music, you hear Skyline through it. it's woven through it. You like the way that all the layers of this series is so well thought out that you just, and then you watch the behind the scenes and you're like, holy shit, it's even better. It's even more thought out than you'd think.
I'm probably going to piss people off when I say this, actually, but it reminds me of La La Land in the way that is another like romantic driven thing that is like so much a part of like LA. And I am someone who famously hates LA. I think it's a terrible place. I think no one should live there. But La La Land does an incredible job of making it seem like the magical place that everyone dreams of when they first hear about Hollywood. Like it does such a good job of that. That's genuinely what it reminds me of. And it doesn't do anything where it's like, it's not like it's making Phuket seem like super like modern, or like it's not doing anything that where it doesn't feel like Phuket is a real place. It just makes it feel like it's like the most warm, lovely environment you've ever seen on screen. Like every shot of the show is so immaculately presented. I can't even deal with it. When they're walking down the street and there's like the like garland lights over the street is so pretty.
Yeah.
Like
it's like it puts you back into that feeling of first love. Like the entire series is shot to put you back into that feeling of first love and to that feeling of the coming of age-ness of this series.
One of the things like in this episode too that I love is like there's like the really classic like high drama romance thing of like a train pulling out of a station and somebody staring at it, and they kind of recreate it with the boat pulling away. And I was like, I just like there's so many touches that are like, oh, they're obviously pulling from specific tropes, but they're doing it in its own way that feels like they're not throwing a trope on to just like hit you in the heartstrings, even though that's of course what it's doing very clearly. Here we get to one of my favorite lines in this series. Are you peeky at my boobies? Hey, this is wild. This was a wild part of the show. For a show that I was like, oh, a BL, I didn't think we were going to talk about holding breasts.
Just you wait. You wait.
The boob discourse in this episode. I think it just helps add to the element of it's
tit course.
The tit course.
Yeah.
It adds to the element of like plausible deniability, which we love talking about in BLs, right? It's the like inching into like, oh yeah, I've never touched boobs before. Have you?
Okay,
like,
but
and like talking about like, I love, the body of a woman, don't you? And then if you like, and then watch like how they react.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's so interesting too because OAO is the one who brings it up in the episode. He's like, this is supposedly what boobs feel like. Ha ha ha, crazy. And then like 6 scenes later, he's like, anyway, I like boss. Anyway, I like a guy. And I think he's really hot.
The way that they show trying to fit in with the friend group is so interesting. And I think that a lot of that is really coming back to trying to fit in with the friend group and like be like, oh yeah, I'm like one of you, but really I do have a secret. Or it's like it's kind of a secret, but it's not a secret, but I'll tell the person that I have secrets with, but I still need to make sure that I'm part of the group. Like
I just want to spend a minute talking about Tarn, who is slowly becoming like my favorite character.
She's great.
We get often in BLs, we get the girl space friend character. And, they can be hit or miss. But she is really impressing me. And I really like that she doesn't feel like she is in service to just helping Tae kind of realize who he is, which I think is what happens a lot of the time.
A lot for like
the women get reduced. I do feel like she's an actual person with like, I love that she has this whole storyline of being like, I really want to get into like the visual arts faculty. Like I love that she has her own dreams, she has her own wants, and I also like that she's like, I don't want to get with you until I know that I'm set in my like what I want to do. I want to like you're on the back burner.
She's also also is in her own pressure chamber of like trying to be like, do I there is chemistry, right? Like I am falling for him. He's funny, but I don't want to give in because I can't.
Yeah. And like, I think that she's such a good character as well, like you were saying, because she's written in a way that doesn't reduce her, because it's like she's got, if you think about it, if she kind of was like, yeah, let's get together, let's start a relationship, I'll put my dreams on hold, I'll help you with your dreams. She's then like giving up what she wants and serving him and like his future. Whereas if she's I guess kind of like in a society where if she doesn't take the time to do this for herself, when is she ever going to be able to do it?
Yeah. Totally.
And so she's kind of also making that choice, like, yes, I like you, but I need to serve myself so I can set up my future, because I can't rely on you. I shouldn't have to rely on you like my mother maybe did with my father, or my grandmother did with my grandfather, or like other women in our society have done. Like, no, I am not going to do that. I am going to make sure that I can set myself up in a way where I'm not relying on you. And I think that is such an interesting thing to have written into the character of Tan alongside this whole coming of age story, where you've got Tae and Oeo as the center.
Something that I kept thinking about whenever I would watch just how her character interacts with Tae is that idea that, like, because she comes off very mature, I feel, compared to the other characters. And it reminded me a lot of that saying that people have of like girls mature faster, and then the opposing thing of like, well, do they mature faster, or is more expected of them earlier in their lives?
Yep.
100%.
I got that vibe a lot whenever her character was like introduced and we got to know her, is that she just seems to have a lot more emotional intelligence than the other characters, and she's a lot more aware, which plays into like, you know, like she doesn't want to be strung along by anyone. She just wants to like figure her stuff out first and then maybe be with Tae. But yeah, I just wanted to add that because I thought she is a really interesting character. I did like her too.
And she's so layered. Like, I don't want to, no spoilers, but like no spoilers. She's such a layered character that, that's it. I'm not going any further.
She's layered. Well, and especially like it's set up so well because she only has her scenes at this point in the show. She only has her scenes with Tae, who is the most immature character in the show.
Oh my god!
So, like the juxtaposition between the two of them is like so good. There are moments though, I think like that Oeo seems to obviously feel like he is at a more mature place than Tae, and that's like the narrative they're building up, right? Tae is not going to he's going to be the last one to figure out what the fuck is going on. I can already tell. He is on the slowest train out of Georgia, and we're finally gonna get there. But there was a moment. It was when Oeo has this conversation with him. So Tae gets let's jump ahead a little bit. So Tae gets butthurt, right? Because he had said, "Oh, don't tell anybody that I'm a virgin." And then at their like group hang, which he didn't even want to do a group hang, he wanted to have a special time with his friend. At the group hang, Oeo like made a pronouncement to the group of being like, "I'm a virgin, ha ha ha, isn't that funny?" And so then Tae got like really annoyed, and it was very clear that he didn't know why specifically place why he was annoyed.
Actually said it. He's like, "I actually don't know why I'm mad, but I'm just mad. So bye."
Because he thought that he had a special secret between him and Oeo, and then Oeo told that secret, so now they don't have this special thing between them. Yeah. He feels like they don't have this special thing.
I don't want to be just like all your other friends.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to be like just all these other friends, but he doesn't know why.
So Oeo pulls him to the side and at the school. Which he sneaks into his old school. I don't know, girl, whatever.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. He puts his old uniform on and sneaks into the school as if he was still going to that school.
Sure, Diva.
Okay.
So I just want to say, as an American, who our schools have to be bolted down and the whole world knows why. That was wild for me. I was like, people just coming into school? OAO pulls him to the side and is like, what's going, like, why are you not talking to me, blah, blah, blah. And it was such a, I think this moment, and then like at the end, I think there's another moment with OAO too, where I was like, oh, and I equated it to, Kayla, what you were saying, where often it's women characters, it's girl characters who are forced to do the emotional heavy lifting for men because,
and like, they're like trying to reveal to them, like, no, this is what
all
you're feeling.
Constantly stuck in patriarchy. But to some extent, I think OAO, because he's obviously the softer of the two characters, like he's the one that's has more feminine coded traits. I was like, oh, of course he's going to be the one who's like going to,
but also grew up isolated too, right? Like he's the one that is more introspective too.
Mm-hmm. But I didn't hate it. I wasn't mad about it. I just was like, oh, they're doing it's that.
It's like building the chemistry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yes. So the secret. Who wants to reveal the secret? Anybody want to say the new secret?
You already did.
Oh, I did. That's right. Oh, that's right. I thought I forgot. So his secret is that he likes
again.
Boss. Secret is that he likes Boss.
We both thought that he was going to say, I'm gay.
I thought it was just going to be I'm gay, which it basically is. Which is the same idea.
But because he said specifically like Boss, and the way also that Tay reacted, right? Like in a base level, he's just like, oh my God, that is huge. That's something only I know. That's crazy.
Yeah.
He's genuinely elated. Like he's so happy to know it.
Because he gets to have this little secret between him and OAO, this special little thing for his special little buddy that he doesn't realize how special he is.
A quick note, RJ, when we were in college together, we would have parties at our apartment and he would get drunk and then pull people into his bedroom, close the door, and then be like, tell me a secret. This was RJ's constant thing. It was very weird, but he had a lot of people tell him their secrets. A lot of people get it.
Wow.
Oh my God.
He's very trustworthy, allegedly.
You kept those secrets, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's something.
There's one that I just found out this year that you found out years ago. He was like, oh yeah, she told me like in 2019. And I was like, what? We're married! You legally have to tell me this stuff.
Yes. We signed the document. Your secrets are my secrets.
We had that added to our vows.
Wow. I see myself in Tay in that way of like, I like knowing that like, oh, I'm like someone important to someone. And so in my drunk state, I capitalized on it.
So this scene, I just have to say, because if you are on the Patreon, you have seen now, because the reaction came out yesterday as time of release. I had an emotional break at this scene.
Yes.
And as a kid who, God, I feel like this is just going to be 5 weeks of me trauma dumping, which is really shitty for our viewers. But as a kid who grew up clearly gay in Indiana, unfortunately, in high school, came out my freshman year of high school, I did not have the experience that OAO gets to have, where he tells a guy best friend, and the guy best friend reacts really warmly and kindly. And I think there is a part of me being into K-pop, me being into BL, all of it, that is like genuinely healing a part of myself that I didn't even know needed healed. And I think I can't speak for anyone other than myself, but like it is such a huge part of why I have taken to all of this stuff as much as I have. Because I feel like there's so much I missed out on because I was forced, and I came out, it was like 2006, right? So like we're peak the worst era of like metrosexual is like what we have to call gay people, because we can't even it's wild. So like that's like what's going on in culture. And so me even just trying to exist and like I did this like high school church thing with like as a high schooler, and like I was selected to be like a leader for our senior year for one of the like weekend retreats or whatever. And it was like so stupid. We had to like, it was like reveal, like parents found out that I was gay. And so they like pulled their kids out of the retreat because like they were so upset about it. And again, I was in Indiana, which means nothing for you, Heather, but I swear to God, it's the worst.
It's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
I can get the context clues, the contexting.
Yeah. So it's a place called Indian Anna. Okay, let's just really put it out there. That's what the state's called. So I had to like, they like the adults on the weekend who were like very supportive of me and like were like, I'm sorry this happened, but we had like, they had to tell me, and they were like, do you want to say anything? You don't have to. We can just like sweep it under the rug. And I like felt like I had to like it would be stupid not to address it. So I had to like write this speech and like give this speech and be like, and I was like forced into this, like, sure, I was like 18, but like I shouldn't have had to do this. Anyway, all of this to say, there are parts of me that I thought in my 20s that I was like, oh, I'm fine. Like I'm out and I'm proud and like whatever. But there are still wounds that I think need healed. And so like, that's why like a show like this is like really destroying me in a very specific way, because like it's an experience that I never got to have. But I don't think what can often happen is like people like older generations sometimes will like turn and be like, well, then you should have the same experience I had. Like I had to go through something hard.
Through it hard. Yeah.
You should have to go through it hard too. But I would so much rather everyone have the experience that Ohio gets to have and like have his friend like be excited for him, even though that's not where the story's going to end up. Because like the other option is so much worse. I promise, guys. I couldn't talk to straight men until like college because I was so scared of them. Like because I had such a bad experience in high school.
We laugh through the trauma.
For sure.
Yeah. Yep. That actually reminds me of an opinion piece that one of my friends wrote for Teen Vogue. Yeah.
Okay. Oh. Very casual, just dropping your friends who write for Teen Vogue. Oh, okay. Well, my friends dab it, so you want to do that? Oh, okay, we can do that.
I'm crying. Oh, that's funny. No, what I was trying to say was that because he felt that and being able to write this piece, it really helped him start to heal some wounds, or at least look at some wounds that were inflicted growing up and be able to acknowledge them and work towards wanting to heal them. And I think it would be when you're in a good place, maybe after watching, well, you could probably read it during, but like I think reading the piece would be nice, even just to kind of connect with similar stories. And and it's a really lovely piece as well. Like my friend.
Yeah, I read all of his things that are BL related.
I wrote like when I first got into like BTS, which was like during the pandemic. So obviously everyone. No, was it? No, it wasn't. Wait.
Yes, it was.
It was a pandemic. Yes. Obviously everyone was like out of their minds anyway. And then like this whole thing, and it was like weird for me to even. I like didn't eat for 2 weeks when I found BTS. I had like a very weird reaction to it. And RJ had just started the Ampliverse and was like, I think you should write about what's going on. And I was like in a medical way? Like, do I need to send this into a physician? And he was like, no, like a blog. And I was like, okay. So I wrote this thing, and I even like just writing it out. Yeah. I mean, like I felt like I was like, oh, the expression between like when Jimin jumps on Jungkook's back in the Dynamite music video made me cry, and I couldn't explain why until I like sat and I was like, oh, it's because I never had anyone I could do that with. And I feel like watching it, I was like, oh, I missed that. I'm so happy that there is media that I can watch to at least like feel like I can put myself into in that way.
My God, this show is going to be brutal for you, girl. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I fear so.
Nothing happened in episode 2, and I had to use a washcloth for a Kleenex. I was like, it was so bad.
The scene after, right, where they're like, they're all kind of like hanging out with now that we know the truth, we know the secret. And so now Tay is kind of like, I want to help. He wants to be a wingman now. They're doing these like texting, and like he's like, make a move. If you try and make a move, like get close to him, and if he tries to like get away from you, then you know that he doesn't like you. So we have these,
or he's not interested. We don't even know if he's interested in guys or he likes girls.
That's true. That becomes like a whole thing because they all talk about girls in this group, which I think like the friend group
all over. I mean, that's teenage boys.
But this friend group dynamic is so interesting too, because that's also like a very specific like gay teen experience of like, I'm developing what I think is different from what everyone else is thinking. And as someone who went to an all-boys school like all my life,
here we go.
now it's my trauma dump. That is so real, of always testing the waters, always trying to have to figure out like, am I the weird one here?
In a time in your life when the whole point of being in high school is like fit in with you're trying to fit in and not stand out.
Yeah, exactly. And so I love that he does this very real thing of like, yes, try to get closer, and if he pushes you away, then you'll know that he doesn't like you. And it, like, he can't even bring himself to do it. Like, I was so nervous to like get close to like touching hands, and then the knee. We did not have uniforms, but we had a dress code. But so it's like, as long as you wore like shorts or pants or whatever, no denim. But like, as a shared like questioning like teen, it was so we were all so hyper fixated on each other's legs because that was like the only thing that you could like see. And all of my friends from high school are all gay now. And like sometimes when we get all of them, and we'll always be like, yeah, I did that too. We all did that. Like that we just hyper fixated on it, and like you can tell
it, but it kind of slightly connects a little bit at the end.
And like,
I love that we all kind of have that reaction, just like,
and like in the cinematography of it, you just get this shot, right, of just these two. We're talking about like the boat now of them two like touching knees. It's just a shot of them two sitting in this boat, and like they're trying to make amends because like they are mad at each other, frustrated with each other, but they don't know why. Because they're jealous. But Oeo like is slowly inching to intentionally trying to break the ice. Yeah,
and does it as a bit.
But you just get this shot of like, it's not like it's zooming into it. Like you almost miss it if you weren't paying attention.
Yeah. And the fact that like the way he knocks his knee as well is like an invitation to keep playing. Let's now play physically.
So they show like the first time they show it's Oeo's knee and Boss's knee next to each other, and they almost touch. They're like a hair's breadth apart, and then he's like, I can't do it. I'm too scared. But then like the next scene, which is when Tay was like, don't worry, I've got this. We'll figure out if he's gay or not. And he's like, hey, I've decided I'm gonna hit on Oeo, which I don't know. I mean, go for it, girl. That's how they figure out, because Boss is like, looks like just annoyed or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he's like, haha, just kidding. He like, there's like, it's incredible. PP does such a good job at being like, oh my god, it's happening, but like not making it obvious to everyone that he's like excited about it. And then under the table, both him and Tay are like knocking knees together, and I was like, you guys, look at yourselves. Look. Open your eyes.
Zero self-awareness.
Zero self-awareness, but that's what I want. That's what I want for my BLs. I want it to take a really long time for them to figure out, so we get all the little morsels in between. I don't want it to happen too quick.
The slow burn is delicious.
And yet, there's gonna be 5 episodes, right? And like,
it's like slow burn, but not
slow burn. But like, I'm not like watching, 100 episodes. Like, so I'm kind of like. Obviously, we're like just at episode 2, so I'm curious, like, how slow is this gonna go?
We're already like a third of the way through the show.
Yeah, but they haven't like said to each other they like each other yet. So
no, because like, neither, and this is to be clear, neither of them realize that yet. Yeah. Which I like that it's not like the gay one is like, oh, I'm the one pining for the one who can't figure it out. Like, I like that they're both kind of oblivious because they just see each other as friends.
Is there some lore here that we're missing?
Okay, so our lore is that we were roommates
in college.
They were just roommates.
They were just roommates? And they very BL. We were roommates in Boom Duck 304.
We were next door roommates our freshman year, randomly assigned, and then we moved in together sophomore, junior year.
And then we stopped being roommates.
And then one fateful night
during a rehearsal of Urinetown. The Friends to Lovers it's
real.
It's real. Sleep with your roommates, everyone. Do it.
My God.
Moral of the story.
Or is that advice?
Try it out.
Take it from us.
Take it from us. Try it out.
RJ did.
Oh. Oh my God. I love you guys. That's hilarious.
Let's be a little professional, RJ, with these professionals in front of us. Thank you.
This is why Mark Packin will never talk to you, Adam, because he's like,
I actually do this to ensure that no one will ever come on the podcast because they're too scared.
They're too scared. Like, oh no, that would be a bad
crazy. Boss is like, oh, we should hang out on Sunday and study together, and he's like, okay. So he talks to Tay, and Tay is like, if you want to, you can. Very passive aggressive.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This is again why no one should be communicating via texting, because you cannot hear tone, because I'm sure, because Tay is very clearly like, if you want to, and I'm sure OAO heard it as like, oh, if you want to, you can. So he's like, okay, great, I got the sign off.
Because he's literally been like, touch him, make sure he likes you, go.
Egging him on.
And then,
literally the next day, he all of a sudden is like, wait, this is weird, because now Boss is encroaching on their special time together of now tutoring. Because I was trying to be like, Boss is the second best in the class too. Like, he's just as smart, really. He's
the first best.
Oh, he's the first best. Yeah. In the Chinese tutoring.
Mm-hmm.
So like, there is now becoming a real threat of like, oh yeah, he could just completely usurp him now, and now there's nothing that he can have over him.
Mm-hmm. But I do like in the explanation of like Tay's character is that like you see how hard he's worked at like learning Chinese. Like it isn't like a situation where it just came to him naturally, like, which may be what it is for Boss. Like, we don't really know yet, but I like that he's like, here's all the flashcards I have 1,200 characters. Like, it's in groups of 20. I went over this. I have sheets of my notebook where I just repeated characters because I had to like drill it into my head. And also, I'm sorry, the absolute gag of the sheet of characters going from rival to intimate, literally, I wanted to crawl out of my skin. I was like, please, I can't do this. I want to wear someone else's skin as a suit. I can't do this anymore. While this little study date
without Tay is happening,
Tay is hanging out with Tarn. And he is like annoyed. He gets annoyed by an Instagram story. So then he decides that he's going to, God, he is so annoying. He's going to take a picture of Tarn and be like, I'm going to spend every afternoon with this diva.
This diva.
And then obsessing over to see if OAO has seen it. And he's not, because he's busy
He's busy studying.
He's busy studying. And now he's shot himself in the foot because now Tarn is like, oh, like, but you're so busy. And he's like, but I want, like, now he has to kind of like cover himself up, you know?
On a scale of 1 to 10, how stupid are men?
10. No.
Yeah.
The most.
100.
Yeah.
Thank you. Speak the truth. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Oh, Ted he just jerk reaction. Knee-jerk reaction. He has so many knee-jerk reactions to things that just show how immature he can be at times, because he doesn't, oh, I'm holding a hairbrush, sorry. It's so straight. I just fiddle with things, sorry. It's so straight. The ADHD is jumping out. It's so strange that he has such a singular goal of, he knows what his future looks like. He knows what he wants to do at uni. He's kind of working towards that. And so like that's like this mature sort of side to him, you could argue. But then everything else he does is so immature at times, because it's like he just doesn't look outside of his one singular view, that when things do happen outside of that singular view, he is just reacting to these things. And like case in point, this whole Instagram thing, he's not thinking about what this means for him and Tarn.
No.
He's literally thinking, how do I get back at OAO for hurting me in a way that I don't realize I've actually been hurt by him? Like, how do I get his attention again? He's not thinking about what Tarn is taking out of this. The fact that he's basically said, I like you a lot. I've said it publicly. I like you a lot. Now I want to spend a lot of time with you. But I'm probably not going to have this time to spend with you. I can't give you the attention that you're going to want from me from this.
Right.
But I want OAO's attention.
Yeah, I mean, that's very teenager. That's the realistic part of everything, that it's very, very angsty teen to not be able to think ahead on anything, and then to kind of do things and then be like, what did I do afterwards when you face the repercussions?
A show can't exist without conflict, right? There has to be complications thrown into the scene. But everything here feels... Sometimes you'll watch a BL or any show and you'll be like, oh, the writers are just, they don't know. They're just throwing anything at whatever they can. Whereas this is like, really at the end of the day, it's so low stakes to post an Instagram story to make someone else jealous. But in the moment, as a teenager who's falling in love, it's like the most thing you can do. It's like...
It's a billboard, basically.
Yeah, you might as well put a neon sign above your head and be like, hey, pay attention to me, please!
Tay realizing he's not getting the attention from OAO, hasn't read the story. So now he's like, well, then maybe if I just try to make a move and speed this thing up with Tarn, then maybe
I'll get distracted.
Maybe I'll get distracted. Maybe I won't be as obsessed anymore. So he does this little flirty flirt, like drawing on her hand, and
it's very cute.
It's very cute.
It's very cute.
And he's like really like ruminating, going in for the kiss, and he does.
Ducks.
And then right at the end, just like couldn't do it.
She's into it.
But then Tarn
I would be girl
goes
please.
right into it too. So it's like this, literally the lack of foresight of like, you have fully just like pulled the string of someone else.
And do you notice the color that he chose to draw on her hand with?
The blood of a creep. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Why does he duck the kiss?
There is some part deep down in him that knows that he doesn't want to do this, and that something about it just doesn't feel right. Obviously, he's like not aware of it. And I think part of him also knows that if he does go through with it, then it's going to really change the dynamic between him and OA. So like there's that aspect of it, and then there's also him just like not being aware yet of the fact that he likes OA and not Tarn. Like, yeah, I think he just like subconsciously, I guess that's the word I was looking for, is subconsciously he feels like this isn't what he's meant to do. So he doesn't, at least not in that moment.
He is acting on his impulses, even though it's frustrating. It's like really refreshing to see a character like actually like be active in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Even in like the really embarrassing stuff of like from the first episode, like copying how he looks, and like even here of like just like saying, you know, I'm gonna hit on Oeo to get the. It's crazy because you don't usually get the character that like will be open and up to look like the fool, which I also think is like really interesting, like layered, because he's kind of the class clown, like he's that established like
goofy guy.
I will be the goofy guy,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Which is why he gets away with the joke about I'm gonna hit on Oeo.
Yeah,
because they know he's the one who's like funny.
Yeah.
So then he can be like, haha, just kidding. And everybody's like, oh, ha ha ha, you're so crazy.
Don't be weird. La la la.
He is a character who has main character energy. And by that I mean he thinks everyone else in his life is a supporting character. Is a supporting character to his story. Which technically it's a story and he's correct. But they all are real people. And so I do think it was like the first time of his I thought there was like a part of it that was like, I think it was like he was realizing he may just be using her and was like, should I this is probably shitty for me to do. But then obviously she's like, hey-o, let's go
I'm into
it.
this. All right. You're right. I should be impulsive too, like you. Let's do it.
Yeah.
She goes in for the kiss too, and basically just gets broken up because it's time to go. You know, it's done. Like they have to like by circumstance.
They get caught.
They almost get caught.
So his relationship with Tan up to that point was very, will become a thing in the future. Mm-hmm. We're working towards this thing. We're flirting towards this thing. Mm-hmm. And him ducking the kiss was him being like, right before that kiss happened, he's like, holy shit, this thing that is just like something we're working, it's like theoretical.
Yes.
It's becoming real.
Yes.
And I don't know how much I want this thing to go from theory to reality. Mm-hmm. And then she just took it from him.
Yeah, let's have a conversation about compulsory heterosexuality. Because there's a little bit of that, but I do like that his character, and we haven't finished the show. I don't know what's going to come down the pike. And RJ and I talk about this all the time in our recaps. Is like there is not the word acknowledgement of like I am a specific sexuality. Like it's very rare to be like I am gay, I am bi. Like it's usually like you're a guy, I'm a guy, our eyes locked across the room.
It's you. It's not that I'm attracted to other men now. It's because it's you.
Yeah, I only like you. I only,
It doesn't feel like he dislikes Tarn. It doesn't feel like he's not attracted to her, right? Like there is like, for sure, there's definitely teenage boy energy going on where like a gust of wind will do it for you. But I mean, he has the scene where he like sees her bra and is like, I can't even talk anymore because I just saw
I'm staring at a bra.
brassiere. So that's, I mean, we can place him maybe in our canon of bisexual kings. Maybe. Who knows? We'll see. We'll watch the space.
Okay, so at the end of the show,
we're going straight for it.
He's like, they've been ignoring each other. They don't know why, blah, 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 but they know that like they don't like each other or whatever. There's something going on.
I mean, it's more one-sided.
It's more one-sided. Tay is mad at him. He doesn't know why. Oeo is trying to like, but he won't tell him, right? Mm-hmm. He won't tell him what's bothering him. He's about to text him. Tay is about to text Oeo. We didn't go over our words today. But his phone dies. So he rides around in his motorcycle in circles. And we were like, oh, he's trying to figure out if he wants to go chase after him or not. No, it's just so he could charge his phone up to 2% so that he could try and text him. And he still doesn't do it. And that was when I was like, this is real. Like, these are things that like, you don't see it. I lost my mind, like that connection of of just
it's just to charge his phone.
Mm-hmm. And when they get to the boat,
everything is like for Tay, everything is the next snap decision for him, which is like thrilling to watch as a character. But it is like it's like what makes the show so exciting is like, and why it's so much probably genuinely more interesting to follow Tay's journey through the show than it is if we were just following OAO the whole time, because OAO's journey would just be like, Tay's out of his mind as usual. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I'm eating dinner at the resort alone. Like, Tay is so much more on like a
slightly unhinged.
Yeah. He's definitely a fire
slightly
sign.
Unhinged. Yeah.
And so then the next scene we see Boss dropping.
Boss drops OAO off, and they're like, "Oh, is it okay that it's too late that we stayed too long at dinner?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's fine. These boats run 24 hours." And he gets in the boat, and Tay is already there, and Adam and I
screamed.
Wailing, like paused, looked at each other, like babies crying.
Because at the end of the day, even as frustrating as Tay can be, I like that there is constantly an acknowledgement of like, I need to be the one to like be a better person and like figure my shit out. Like there is sometimes where he's not the impetus for it. Like someone else may have to point it out for him, but he's a flawed character because he's like a fucking human being, but like he is not there's no malicious intent with him. He's just like, everything is so teenage decision that it's like, oh my God, it's so like you are getting in your own way, but it's like so thrilling to watch because everyone has been that person who's been like their own problem.
Yeah.
So they're on the boat. They take the boat over, and then OAO gets off the boat.
Tay does not chase after him. And so we're like, we're really just going to watch this boat come around. And it's like a good, 2-3 minutes. And you see OAO coming back to sit on the boat with him. And they talk it out. They are like kind of still dancing around. Like they don't know why they're upset with each other. Tay says it's because it didn't seem like you were really studying. You promised, and I was upset that you were going to take it seriously and studying. And so OAO shows his notebooks, and it's like, no, I did all the things that you told me to do, even though it would be a distracted. I still did everything you wanted me to, or that I promised to do.
Where's my Kleenex? I can't help it. I'm losing my mind. Thank you.
This show just has that effect. It really does.
Because they're so sincere. Like they're so genuine. They're so earnest. They're so sincere. And yes, there is the level of their goofing around somewhat with each other. But
the goofing around is so real too. Like that's how you that's when the plausible deniability comes in, right? Like that's the tension of knowing about your first gay love. It's we're just friends? No, maybe?
Yeah.
I'm dying! God, Adam, Jesus Christ.
Okay. So they have the conversation. They start doing the flashcards. And of course, because it's got to come back, all the flashcards are the heart cards.
Are the heart words.
The way that they did this too, the words that are used, trust, and then what the other one is, sad. It's it's a way of
trust, care, and sad.
Trust, care, and sad. A way of Tay trying to communicate with OAO as well in this way.
But also a little bit of fate pulling these words. He's not. RJ was I think he's gonna choose the words he wants to test.
No, it's the first.
He was just going in order.
Yeah,
and then the one that he doesn't know sad, and so the way he explains it is he explains the characters and being it's two people who you keep using force to hurt each other, and I was like.
It was actually very embarrassing to go through it.
Girl, you were embarrassed. I was embarrassed doing it.
For like, for boys who aren't communicating clearly during like their fights, they then communicate so clearly when they make up, but not clear enough. Like they're just...
It's the stumbling, stumbling into the first time they have to do it. That's just so genuine because you feel they want to do it. They just don't know how.
Yeah.
Don't know what to say. They don't know how to convey what they're actually feeling.
Yeah. So then they do the, like, we've already talked about, they do the knees, they start like horsing around, and then like it ends up where Oeo is like on top of Tae, like he's leaning on into him basically.
His head is,
and Tae is holding
his head
him.
Is in his hair,
and then he's sniffing his hair, and he's like, "That coconut scent is really."
Well,
good.
he's like, "What is the smell? It smells so good.
Why do you smell so good?"
Yeah, and Oeo's like, "It's the same smell that I had in the beginning of the episode when you didn't like me yet, but now you."
When you didn't like the coconut smell.
Yeah. Yeah, and Tae has this like moment of like, interesting that I like this scent now.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And then he just kind of like buries it back in his brain. He's like, okay, cool. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a genre of fan fiction about scents and finding each other's scents that I think if people want to get into it more, they can learn more, right, Adam?
RJ, that's a real slippery slope. That is something else. How dare you bring that up here?
Everyone who watches LoveCast knows I'm the Omegaverse girly, so...
Oh my God, yes.
Okay,
we'll just have our own.
So you know
episode.
that Bad Buddy thing that I was talking about? There's this Bad Buddy fic that I think you should
We'll be
read.
talking about scent blockers. We'll talk about some gender expressions.
We end our episodes, our recap episodes, the BL ones, of we get to name our MVP of the episode, who we just like felt like, and it could be anyone, right? It could be the lighting designer for this episode. It could be
anybody.
It could be any of the actors. It could be
us recapping it.
It could
right
be you.
now.
Who did you felt that just like it stood out to you in this in the episode?
The sound, like it's the sound, but just specifically the music, the composer, and whoever was
crafted
designing and crafting the way that music was used in this episode.
Yeah, totally. It's one of the best scores in a BL that I've ever.
Oh.
It's one of the best scores I've
in
ever
anything
heard.
that I've seen.
Like, period.
I think so too. Yeah. I have two. The first one is definitely the director, because I just love how intentional all of the filming is. All of the shots, all of that, even the direction of like the acting and everything. Like I said, I always look at the technical aspects of things, and I could probably say the director for every episode, but yeah, definitely episode 2. I was honed in on just how everything looked, how everything was filmed. And then the other one might be unpopular, but I do relate to Tae. Like,
no, I mean, I think that's like why Tae is he's the character you hate to relate to, because you're like, oh God,
it's too real, it's too close to you.
Too real, yeah.
Right. Yeah. As much as he frustrated me so much. Like, I remember when I was watching the show, it got to a point where I was like, he needs to just get it together. Like, I was so angry at him at one point. But at the same time, I really sympathize with him, maybe even empathize with him, because he has that kind of character archetype of like the underdog. And of course, you always want to root for the underdog. Yeah. So that gets me every time. The fact that he is like, seems like he has a lot of pressure on him, and he just like doesn't know what to do with all of the pressure. And then you have the added layer of him liking someone who is practically like his best friend.
Yeah.
Or becomes his best friend. So I feel for him. And he is the MVP for me, even when he's getting on my nerves.
Totally.
Totally. It's such a good performance that it's able to nail that frustration, but you can still be on his side. Like, it would be so easy to mess that up and sway it in one direction or the other too much, but it's just down the middle. It's so much that it's like, I get it, but please, baby girl, you have to get it together. I swear to God.
Please. Like,
Yeah, I'm going to give it up to all the knees that were involved in creating this episode because
that's a good one.
Shout out to the patella.
shout out to the patella and everything around it. Just the skinship in this episode is so good, and it's just these small moments of like even just like how close they get to one another. I felt like this, especially because I'm sure we're gonna get way more skinship in the next 3 episodes, but this is the part where you're like, if you were one of these people, you're like, no, I just made that up. Like I made that there was tension because we're just guys or whatever. So,
I'm gonna pick specifically because I can't keep picking Oeo and Tay. I cannot keep doing it every week, so I'm going to pick specific things. My favorite thing in this episode was all the times that they were tutoring and the silences where they would just be looking at each other. I wanted. Oh my god! Wow. It's so, and often in Thai BL, sometimes I feel like there is a pacing issue where they just like will hold for pauses where I'm like, okay, but I don't feel anything from this pause.
You don't
You're
feel
just
it.
pausing to draw the scene out. I'm looking at you, GMMTV. But like this is so specifically like there is so much conveyed in the pausing, and they don't just stare at each other. Like there's like slight differences to each thing. Like, there's one where Tay like looks at him, and then you see Oeo look back, and then Tay changes his expression, is like, what are you looking? Like there's a little bit of like, why are you looking at me?
Yeah.
And it's just like there's so much happening with nothing on the page except just looks. Oh my god, it's so good. It's so confident. It's 2 actors who like know how to fucking act. It's a director who feels confident in being like, I'm just gonna show it and the audience is going to understand what's going on.
And it's episode 2.
And it's episode 2. Episode 2. Oh my god. Well, thank you. There's one last question, and I hope, as you guys both, I'm assuming, keep up with some kind of Thailand pop culture. I need to know if we are Team Butterbear or we are Team Moodang. I need to know.
That's good. I think I'm gonna say Butterbear because Butterbear collabed with Nunu and it was very cute.
Yes, I did see that.
Yes. Butterbear's
like Lady fucking Gaga of Thailand right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
She's everything.
She is everything. She's the Beyonce. Like, what are we doing?
She's Butterbear and he's just Ken.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Heather?
Mm-hmm.
I need this explained.
Oh my god! I'm thrilled to explain
because I think I might know, but I'm really questioning. So please explain.
Butterbear is a mascot of a baked goods,
like a cookie
company,
good?
Basically like
it's yellow, right?
Yeah, it's like golden,
Okay.
golden bear, and she wears these little shirts, and she like, oh my god, I can't. She's so cute. She has like crowds of people waiting to meet her every day. She has like crazy TikTok. It's insane. And then Moodang is the pygmy
hippopotamus.
Yes.
Pygmy hippo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hippo.
Are you picking?
You're picking Moodang? Okay.
What are you picking?
I have not gotten into all of Moodang yet.
So you're picking Butterbear?
But I'm going to pick Butterbear.
I'm picking Moodang specifically for the fact that Moodang in Thai
is
means
bouncy
pork. That is incredible. I am obsessed with this. I can't stop watching Moodang videos.
That's like calling your chickens like nugget in KFC.
Yes.
Like if you've got chickens.
Amazing.
I love it. We should do this more often. I love it. She's incredible. She's probably going to kill somebody one day, but I honestly, while we're here...
Because hippos are predators.
Hippos are insane predators, but while we're having fun, I'm having a great time. Well, thank you so much, Heather and Kayla, for joining us today to talk about this episode. I'm sorry we kept you for so long. There was just so much to talk about. And I'm sure there are even things that people will be like, I can't believe you didn't talk about blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So thank you
Of
so much for
course.
joining us. Where can people find you guys?
Yeah, so you can find us over on the LoveCast the BL Podcast YouTube channel. That's where all of our episodes, interviews, content, that's where all of our content is. And then you can also find us at LoveCast Podcast on Twitter, I refuse to say X, and
you.
Instagram and TikTok, pretty much any social media, we're at LoveCast Podcast.
Yeah, I guess I'll promo my YouTube channel. I sometimes make videos. I'm working on one right now. It was a little delayed, but there will be a new video coming out. So I'm semi-active again. Don't hold me to that. But yes, Moon Consort on everything.
Great.
And then we've also got our Discord server. If people want to come and talk to us and join the LoveCast community, we've got a Discord server. You can find invites in our link tree. Singular link tree, and all of that. Just the one.
Just the one tree. Great. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much again for joining us. And have a great rest of your week and weekend.
You too. Thank you for inviting us. We had a lot of fun.
Good.
We'll come back anytime.
Okay, for sure.
Yes.
I'll hold you to it.
I think we'll have to. We're gonna have to hear your best American accent too. I think that's.
Oh, no. You do not want to hear that.
Hamburger.
I want to hear the
Hamburger.
Hamburger.
So the R's are hard.
Yeah.
Discovering voices, building worlds. The Ampliverse.